Shocking revelation rocks Monica Quartermain's funeral. Mystery woman claims to be long-lost daughter. The somber atmosphere of Monica Quartermain's funeral was shattered when an unexpected visitor arrived, claiming a connection that no one saw coming. As the Quartermain family and friends of Port Charles gathered to pay their final respects to the beloved matriarch, a woman named Daphne stepped forward with evidence that would rock the very foundation of the family's legacy. The uninvited guest. The memorial service was proceeding as planned, with heartfelt eulogies from Jason, Tracy, and Ned reflecting on Monica's decades of dedication to both General Hospital and her family. The Quartermain mansion was filled with mourners, including Elizabeth, Laura, Olivia, Lucy Coe, and Michael, all paying tribute to a woman who had been a cornerstone of Port Charles for nearly 50 years. Just as the service was concluding, the heavy doors of the chapel opened to reveal a middle-aged woman with striking features that bore an uncanny resemblance to Monica. She introduced herself as Daphne, speaking with quiet confidence despite the shocked gasps that rippled through the gathered crowd. "I know this isn't the time or place anyone expected to meet me," she began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to reveal. "But I couldn't let Monica be laid to rest without the truth finally coming to light." The bombshell claim. Daphne's revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled mourners. She claimed to be Monica's biological daughter, born decades ago and given up for adoption under circumstances that Monica had kept hidden from everyone, including her closest family members. The woman produced a manila envelope containing what she described as irrefutable evidence of her parentage, including hospital records, birth certificates, and DNA test results that she had independently obtained. Tracy Quartermain, already struggling with her grief over losing Monica, was visibly shaken by the announcement. As someone who had known Monica for decades and had recently grown closer to her sister-in-law in their final years together, Tracy felt blindsided by this revelation. Jason Morgan, equally stunned, found himself grappling with the possibility that the woman he had come to accept as his mother had harbored such a significant secret. Ned Ashton, who had been serving as the family's spokesperson during this difficult time, requested that everyone take a moment to process what they had just heard. The carefully planned memorial service had suddenly transformed into something entirely different, a potential family reunion that nobody had anticipated. The evidence unfolds. Daphne methodically presented her case to the stunned Quartermain family. She revealed that she had been born during a period when Monica was young and struggling, before her relationship with Alan Quartermain had fully developed. According to the documents she provided, Monica had made the difficult decision to place her daughter for adoption, believing it was the best choice for both of them at the time. The birth certificate showed Monica's maiden name, Bard, and indicated that the birth had taken place at a private clinic outside of Port Charles. Daphne explained that she had been raised by loving adoptive parents, who had always been honest about her adoption, but it wasn't until recent years that she had begun searching for her biological family. Her investigation had led her to Monica, but she had been hesitant to make contact, unsure of how her biological mother would react to being found. The DNA evidence appeared compelling, with test results showing markers consistent with Quartermain family genetics. Daphne had even managed to obtain samples for comparison through various means, though she was careful not to reveal exactly how she had accomplished this feat. The documentation seemed thorough and professionally prepared, leaving little room for doubt about its authenticity. Family reactions and suspicions. The immediate reactions from the Quartermain family were mixed and emotionally charged. Jason, who had his own complicated history with the family following his brain injury, found himself sympathetic to Daphne's situation. Having experienced his own struggles with family identity and belonging, he could understand what it might feel like to suddenly discover biological connections that had been hidden for decades. Tracy, however, remained skeptical despite her emotional state. Her years of experience with family schemes and her protective instincts toward the Quartermain legacy made her wary of anyone appearing at such a convenient time. She couldn't shake the feeling that the timing of Daphne's revelation, coming immediately after Monica's death, seemed suspiciously convenient. Ned attempted to maintain his role as family mediator, suggesting that they needed time to properly verify Daphne's claims before making any decisions. He proposed that they arrange for independent DNA testing and have their family attorney review all the documentation that Daphne had provided. Michael's growing suspicions. Among all the family members present, Michael Corinthos found himself most troubled by Daphne's sudden appearance. His business experience and natural skepticism led him to question not just the timing of her revelation, but also the convenient nature of her evidence. Michael had observed enough corporate manipulations and family schemes to recognize when something didn't feel quite right. He began quietly asking probing questions about Daphne's background, her adoptive family, and how she had managed to compile such comprehensive documentation. Michael noticed small inconsistencies in her story, minor details that didn't quite align or seemed rehearsed. While the rest of the family was still processing the emotional impact of her claims, Michael was already thinking like an investigator. His suspicions were further aroused when he realized that Daphne seemed remarkably well-informed about Monica's life and the Quartermain family dynamics. Despite claiming to have had no contact with her biological mother, she referenced family stories and details that would have been difficult to research through public records alone, suggesting that someone had provided her with inside information. The inheritance question. The elephant in the room that nobody wanted to address directly was the question of Monica's estate and inheritance. With Monica's sudden passing, the family was already facing complex questions about the distribution of her considerable assets, including the Quartermain mansion and her shares in ELQ Industries. If Daphne's claims proved legitimate, she would potentially have a legal right to a portion of Monica's estate, regardless of any existing will or family wishes. The timing of her appearance, just as these inheritance questions were being considered, cast a shadow of doubt over her motivations that even sympathetic family members couldn't entirely ignore. Daphne seemed aware of these concerns and attempted to address them proactively. She insisted that her primary motivation was simply to connect with her biological family and honor Monica's memory, claiming that she had no interest in disrupting existing family arrangements or pursuing financial gain. However, her reassurances did little to calm Michael's growing suspicions about her true intentions. Michael's investigation begins. Determined to protect his family from potential fraud, Michael began conducting his own discreet investigation into Daphne's background. He started by examining the documentation she had provided, looking for any signs of forgery or manipulation. While the papers appeared professionally prepared, Michael's business experience had taught him that sophisticated fraud operations could create convincing false documents. He also began researching Daphne herself, trying to trace her life history and verify the claims she had made about her adoptive family and upbringing. Michael discovered that while many of the basic facts of her story checked out, there were gaps in the timeline that seemed suspicious. Periods where her whereabouts were unclear or where public records seemed incomplete or inconsistent. Most troubling to Michael was his discovery that Daphne had been asking detailed questions about the Quartermain family finances and estate planning in conversations with various Port Charles residents over the past several months. This suggested that her interest in the family predated Monica's death by a significant margin, contradicting her claims that she had only recently decided to make contact. The truth begins to emerge. As Michael dug deeper into Daphne's background, he began to uncover evidence that she was not who she claimed to be. Financial records showed that she had recently received large payments from an unknown source, and her travel patterns suggested that she had been in Port Charles area for weeks before Monica's death, despite claiming to have rushed there upon learning of the funeral. Most damaging was Michael's discovery that some of the DNA evidence Daphne had presented appeared to have been manipulated or fabricated entirely. Working with a private laboratory, Michael learned that the genetic markers she had highlighted could have been artificially created, using samples obtained through various means, including items taken from the Quartermain mansion during previous visits or social events. The investigation also revealed connections between Daphne and several individuals known for elaborate confidence schemes targeting wealthy families during periods of grief and transition. This pattern suggested that Monica's funeral had been specifically chosen as an opportunity to insert herself into the family's affairs when they would be most vulnerable and least likely to thoroughly scrutinize her claims. The confrontation. Armed with evidence of Daphne's deception, Michael prepared to confront her before she could cause further damage to his grieving family. He chose to do so privately at first, hoping to resolve the situation without creating additional trauma for Tracy, Jason, and the others who were still processing their loss of Monica. When presented with the evidence against her, Daphne initially attempted to maintain her story, claiming that the inconsistencies were the result of privacy concerns and protective measures she had taken due to past experiences with identity theft. However, as Michael systematically presented each piece of contradictory evidence, her facade began to crumble. The confrontation revealed that Daphne was indeed a professional con artist who specialized in targeting wealthy families during periods of vulnerability. She had been working with accomplices who helped her create false documentation and had spent months researching the Quartermain family to prepare for her scheme. Monica's sudden death had provided the perfect opportunity to execute their plan, as the family's grief and the confusion surrounding inheritance issues created ideal conditions for their fraud, resolution, and aftermath. The exposure of Daphne's true identity brought both relief and additional pain to the Quartermain family. While they were grateful to have avoided being victimized by her scheme, the entire experience had tainted what should have been a peaceful time of mourning and remembrance for Monica. Jason expressed particular appreciation for Michael's diligence in uncovering the truth, recognizing that his nephew's quick thinking had protected the family from both financial and emotional exploitation. Tracy, despite her initial skepticism, admitted that she had begun to warm to the idea of discovering a previously unknown family member, and felt disappointed that Daphne's claims had proven false. The incident served as a stark reminder of how vulnerable families can become during periods of grief and transition. It also highlighted the importance of maintaining vigilance even during times when emotional support and trust seem most necessary. For the Quartermains, it reinforced their bonds with one another while demonstrating that Monica's protective instincts continued to work through those she had left behind. As they returned their focus to properly honoring Monica's memory and legacy, the family found strength in their unity and their commitment to preserving the values she had instilled in them throughout her decades of leadership. The experience with Daphne, while painful, ultimately served to remind them of what truly mattered: their love for one another and their shared commitment to carrying forward Monica's spirit of compassion, strength, and family loyalty. Next, we will dive deep into the brewing storm between Drew Kane and Sonny Corinthos, where revenge could ignite a firestorm of drama in Port Charles. In the heart of General Hospital's latest twists, whispers of vengeance are swirling around Drew Kane as he contemplates a bold retaliation against the notorious Sonny Corinthos. The tension stems from a cunning scheme that has left Drew seething with anger, determined to even the score after discovering falsified evidence that could tarnish his reputation forever. Imagine the shock rippling through Drew's world when he's suddenly pulled into a web of deceit, all orchestrated to undermine his standing in a heated custody battle. This isn't just a minor slight. It's a calculated move that could unravel alliances and spark explosive confrontations. As fans eagerly speculate, Drew's history of resilience suggests he won't back down easily, potentially unleashing a wave of calculated moves that keep everyone on edge. Adding to the intrigue, insiders hint that Drew might enlist unexpected allies from his past military days, bringing a layer of strategic depth to his payback plan that Sonny never saw coming. The drama escalated dramatically when ADA Justine Turner cornered Drew, right in the bustling corridors of General Hospital, her expression a mix of stern authority and probing curiosity. She grilled him relentlessly about the mysterious contents unearthed from his personal safe, items that painted a damning picture of corruption. This encounter wasn't just a casual chat. It was a pivotal moment that forced Drew to confront the shadows lurking in his life, shaking his confidence in those he once trusted. Turner, known for her no-nonsense approach in pursuing justice, laid out the evidence piece by piece, leaving Drew to piece together the puzzle of betrayal. To heighten the stakes, perhaps Drew recalls a similar interrogation from his time in the military, where false accusations nearly derailed his career, fueling his current resolve to fight back with unyielding determination. This scene not only highlights the legal perils Drew faces, but also underscores the personal toll as he grapples with the implications for his family and future in Port Charles. At the core of this scandal lies the incriminating proof of a $1 million wire transfer, meticulously planted to implicate Drew in bribing Judge Eva Heron, a figure already embroiled in the town's tangled web of legal dramas. Sonny, ever the master manipulator, enlisted the savvy Brick to execute this plot with precision, ensuring the evidence appeared airtight and irrefutable. Whether this fabricated trail withstands the scrutiny of a courtroom remains uncertain, but Drew's instinct screamed Sonny's involvement from every angle. Picture the transfer records, digitally forged with timestamps that align suspiciously with key events in the custody dispute, designed to dismantle Drew's credibility overnight. Inventing a fresh layer, maybe Drew uncovers a digital footprint leading back to one of Sonny's lesser-known associates, adding a tech-savvy twist to the revenge narrative that could involve hacking revelations, or cybersecurity experts stepping into the fray. This setup not only threatens Drew's freedom, but also exposes the ruthless underbelly of Port Charles power plays, where money and influence dictate the rules. Complicating matters further, it was Marco Rios who initially tipped Drew off about the bribery allegations, offering him a strategic edge in the ongoing custody feud that has divided families and loyalties. Marco's intel was meant to empower Drew, providing insider knowledge that could sway the judge's decision in his favor. However, Sonny's countermove has flipped the script, turning what was an advantage into a potential trap. Drew, piecing together these betrayals, might now view Marco's role with a hint of suspicion, wondering if there's more to his ally's motives than meets the eye. To expand on this, envision Drew delving into Marco's background, discovering hidden connections to old Corinthos rivals that could shift alliances, and introduce new characters into the mix. Perhaps a shadowy informant with ties to international intrigue. This revelation propels Drew toward a path of retribution, where every conversation and clue builds toward a climactic showdown, keeping viewers hooked on the evolving dynamics. Drew's unshakable confidence shines through whenever he squares off against Sonny, Michael Corinthos, or anyone in their inner circle, fueling his belief that he can outmaneuver them all. This arrogance isn't unfounded. Drew's past victories in high-stakes battles have honed his skills, making him a formidable opponent who thrives under pressure. Sonny's framing attempt might backfire spectacularly, as Drew plots his response with the precision of a chess master, anticipating every possible counter. Adding inventive flair, Drew could tap into his Quartermain family resources, perhaps mobilizing corporate spies or legal eagles to dismantle Sonny's empire from within, introducing elements of corporate espionage that blend business intrigue with personal vendettas. This confidence sets the stage for another intense round of clashes, where words turn to actions, and the fallout could reshape relationships across Port Charles in unexpected ways. As the episodes unfold, the burning question is just how far Drew will push his quest for vengeance. Cooled, Sonny find himself in real peril given Drew's proven capabilities. From physical confrontations to psychological warfare, Drew's arsenal is vast, and his recovery from recent shooting injuries only amplifies his threat level. Once sidelined by wounds that left him vulnerable, Drew is now regaining his strength, both physically and mentally, ready to strike when the moment is right. Imagine a tense face-off in a dimly lit warehouse, where Drew unleashes a barrage of accusations, forcing Sonny to defend his actions amid rising tempers. To enrich the narrative, perhaps Drew's healing process involves secret training sessions, rebuilding his body while plotting moves that involve anonymous tips to authorities, or alliances with unlikely foes like Nina Reeves, adding romantic tension to the mix. Sonny might believe he's in command, but Drew's unpredictable nature could trigger chain reactions of risk, from street-level skirmishes to boardroom battles that endanger lives and legacies. Ultimately, Sonny's elaborate bribery scheme might circle back to haunt him, depending on the extremes Drew pursues in his retaliation. Drew's vengeful tendencies show no signs of fading, ensuring that both Sonny and Michael bear the brunt of the consequences in dramatic fashion. With General Hospital spoilers teasing more chaotic developments, Drew's actions promise a roller coaster of surprises in the weeks ahead, keeping fans on the edge of their seats for every twist and turn in this epic saga of betrayal and redemption.